mind, Don. Let me have the camera, and for a switch, I'll take your pictures.
Oh, well, that's fine, Perry. Good. Wait just a minute now. Why don't you get in the picture with me?
I don't have long enough arms. You mean to hold out like this?
No, you don't have to hold the camera. Here, let me have that. Just set it down right here like this. Let me see. That's about aimed right. That's right. And I push the shutter. That starts the built-in self-timer. Can you hear it?
Here's something going in
Gives
here.
me 9 seconds to get into position here so we can watch. Pretty. There you are. Did you hear that?
Oh, that son of a gun. That Donnie Amici always inventing something.
With black and white film, you have several steps to develop the film. You have to get it out of either the canister that it's in or the film holder that it's in, and you have to do this in total dark. You can load it into canisters, which are light tight and airtight, but you can get water into them, and then you can turn the lights on and you can do the processing. Or if you develop in the dark, you have to use trays, and it has to stay dark the whole time. You just have to know where your chemicals are. And the first thing you do is you do a water bath for black and white, and you soak the film, and that's so that the film gets some of the water absorbed up into the emulsion, and it handles chemicals better that way, and you don't spot your film. Then the first thing you put in is the developer, and for black and white there's several types of developer that you can use. It doesn't really matter. Some are a little sharper than others, some are a little mellower than others in terms of how they render the image. Some are a little grainier than others, some are fine. And as a photographer, you just make a choice as to what you wanted to do. The last film that I used a lot of was called Tri-X, which is a 400 ISO film, and I would almost always develop it in the developer that was recommended for that, which was called HC110. And that was a pretty concentrated developer, but produced real sharp images. So you do water bath first, then you do the developer, and you're always moving the film. You can't just let it sit there. It'll model if you do. So you have to shake the can a little bit or wiggle the film in. If it's in a tray full of chemicals, you have to wiggle it around in there a little bit. But you would do that for 5.5 minutes. Next thing you would do would be to take it into this thing called stop bath. And what that does is it stops all of the developer from occurring on the film. It can't develop any further. So all the development stops. And that was about a 30-second process there, just to get all of the developer chemicals neutralized and no longer active. And then after that, you go into this thing called a fixer. And the fixer sort of finalizes your film for you. But you would leave it in there, let's say 5 minutes. Then after that, you go to a water bath just to get all the chemicals off. And oftentimes you would finally dip your film in this stuff called photo flow, which kind of took all the smudges and prints or anything that might be on the film, kind of got rid of them all, got your film nice and pristine looking. Then you dried it. But by the time you got to that final water bath stage, you could turn the lights on in the room after you're done with the fixer, and the film was fine. It's a simpler process for color because you don't have quite as many choices. You would, everything in the first part's the same. It has a water bath, but then essentially you dump the developer in, and you would usually, for color film, the developer that I used all the time and almost everybody used was developed by Kodak called C41, and that's a one-step process. You could mix it up, but you could buy it already mixed. You dump it in, and that was about a 6-minute process, and usually done in a canister, and you would invert the canister a couple times like this, and then you could let it sit down for 30 seconds or 45 seconds, and you would invert it again and shake it up. And at the end of that, you just dumped it out, and you dumped in your final solution, which was again like a fixer type solution, but it was about a 3-minute process, and then wash your film off and dry it, and you're ready to go. Even though after you shoot it, it's still sensitive to light. So you could shoot a picture in your camera with film, and if you open the camera up, that frame of film, it turns black because it's still accepting light. And the only time it stops accepting light and reacting to light is when you take it through the chemical process, and all of its properties of the film that are in there that react to light are all used up or washed away.
Cool. Thanks, Ed.
Okay.
The pictures you can get with this. Well, why don't we take a look at the pictures we can get with this camera, Let's see. Now, how about that, hmm?